Hello and welcome. We are in chapter 2 of volume 2, Achieving Learner Results. Everything is multiple choice. This is 50 questions, okay? So, number one, the Americans with Disabilities Act protects those Americans who are physically or mentally impaired, such as C, those who have substantial limitations in one or more major life activities. Number two, the agency that prohibits discriminations on the base of disability in both public and private sector is D, ADA. Yes, I'm just going straight in. I'm just going to give you the answers. Yes. Number three, Title III of the American with Disabilities Act defines readily achievable as A, can be easily accomplished and carried out without much difficulty or expense. Number four, schools having persons with disabilities must ensure to A, furnish auxiliary aids when necessary to ensure effective communication unless undue burdens or fundamental alterations will result. B, eliminate unnecessary eligibility standards or rules that could deny individuals with disabilities or equal opportunities to enjoy the goods and services of the place of accommodation. C, provide reasonable modifications in policies, practices, and procedures to deny equal access to individuals. D, all of the above. And the answer is D, all of the above. That's why I read all of them. Okay. Number five, modifications in institutions are made in accordance with ADA could include A, permitting extended time for course completion, B, providing auxiliary aids or services, C, permitting the course to be completed in a more accessible location or making alternative arrangements, D, all the above. And the answer is D, all the above. Six, proof of disability rests on B, the disabled person who desires to enroll in the post secondary school. Seven, the individual accommodation plan for disabled learners is the responsibility of the A institution that enrolls the learner. Eight, the accommodation plan might include a textbooks on tape. Number nine, in North America, the term learning disability refers to C, a group of disorders that affect a broad range of academic and functional skills. 10, the brain process information in four ways. The information perceived through the senses, such as visual or audio perception, is referred to as a input. 11, information comes from the brain either through word or through muscle activity such as gestures, writing, or drawing. This stage is information processing. This stage of information process is referred to as the output. 12, the stage in which perceived input is interpret, categorize, place in a sequence, or related to previous learning is called B, integration. 13, answering a question on demand, putting thoughts into words before we speak is an information process called D, output. 14, most memory difficulties occur in areas of short term memory, which can make it difficult to learn how new material without many more repetitions that usual. This is problem affected affects information. The answer is C, storage. 15, dyslexia is a specific learning disability that hinders the learning of our students and is A, neurologically based, B, congenital, C, a developmental condition, D, all of the above, and answer is D, all of the above. 16, the cause of dyslexia, A, has not been confirmed. 17, the dyslexic learner may act out by displaying characteristics that B, demonstrate carelessness. 18, it is encouraging to find that dyslexic learners A, have a good visual eye, B, are imaginative, C, are skillful with their hands, D, all of the above. And the answer is D, all of the above. 19, when teaching the dyslexic learner, the master educator should A, review the learner's past academic file if available, B, understand the learner's specific difficulties, C, gain an understanding of the student's learning style, D, all of the above. 20, master educators will assist the dyslexic learner with A, time management, B, organization, C, sequencing, D, all of the above. 21, various teaching strategies should be utilized with the dyslexic learner along with A, peer coaching, B, workbook activities, C, silent reading, D, textbook outlining. 22, oh, and that answer was A, peer coaching. 22, since the dyslexic learner learns best through hands-on experience, demonstration, experimentation, observation, and visual aids, educators should D, multisensory methods for practicing and learning. 23, master educators should remember that a dyslexic learner A, have difficulties with figures, B, may be personally disorganized, C, have difficulty taking notes, D, all of the above. Are y'all getting this, honey? This is good to me. This is good to me. I'm over here like, I ain't sharing everything I'm thinking, but I'm thinking, okay. But this is good. And the very fact that you're here should be a sign that you are definitely in your lane, you're on purpose, you're right on track, okay? So 24, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is defined by the American Academy of Pediatricians as a chronic neurological dysfunction within the central nerve system that is not related to gender, level of intelligence, or cultural environment. 25, the cause of ADHD is still unknown, although some environmental factors affect it, including A, diet and certain medications, B, parenting techniques, C, in some cases, artificial colors and food, and certain foods, D, all of the above. 26, ADHD learners have problems staying on required tasks, especially if they are not interested in the subject matter. Such learners may A, be easily distracted, B, be forgetful on daily activities, C, not seem to listen when spoken to directly. D, all of the above. 27, when ADHD learners find it difficult to stay on task, often act before thinking, act as if driving by a motor, if driven by a motor, or talk excessively, they are displaying C, hyperactivity. 28. There are a number of symptoms the educator can watch for to determine if the student has ADHD. B, problems staying on required tasks, especially if they are not interested in the subject. 29, because the student with ADHD may be overwhelmed by too much stimulation, the master educator will A, encourage the learners to persevere. B, help to build self-esteem. C, provide various teaching strategies to capture the attention of the learner. D, all of the above. And answer is D, all of the above. 30, which of the following strategies may prove beneficial to ADHD learners? And the answer is all of the choices are correct, which are provide learners with quiet areas without distractions when testing and studying. B, provide instructions both in written and oral. C, allow sufficient time for the learner to thoughtfully prepare answers. 31, strategies that will support ADHD learners include C, give them room to move about and release excess energy. Need a little room, little room, little room, little room, little room. 32, other strategies for ADHD learners include D, all of the above, and it is develop a system of discrete cue that will alert learners in advance that you are going to call on them. B, give practice quizzes prior to the official test. C, consider alternative testing methods that will also demonstrate what the student has learned. 33, we have learned that an effective second sensory motor activity such as tapping a pencil or clicking a pen helps learners stay alert. The master educator can facilitate more positive activity that doesn't distract others, such as D, all of the above, which is have students trace, use color-centered markers, use of stress balls. 34, it is beneficial for educators to recognize chronic behaviors such as B, poor motivation and lack of interest. 35, persons with substance abuse problems are protected by the 88 and should be D, all of the above, and it is A, refer to the appropriate professional source for help. B, given reasonable accommodation. C, subject the same documentation standard as other students with disabilities. 36, to make the student more comfortable in the classroom, the master educator will C, encourage self-confidence. 37, knowing the barriers of the learner will prove to be an asset to the educator. Be on the alert for D, all of the above, which is A, learner apprehension, B, rapid response, C, lack of learner motivation. 38, students exhibiting anxiety in the classroom need the educator to A, be empathetic. 39, apprehensive students will compare themselves, their knowledge, and their response to the way they are perceived by everyone else in the classroom. Thus, the master educator will be established strong and frequent eye contact. 40, master educators use memory clues known as C, mnemonics 41, older learners may feel like they don't remember things as well as they did when they were younger. The master educator will aid in creating a safe learning environment. 42, sometimes learners will respond too quickly to overcome this barrier to learning. The master educator will provide all of the above, and that is A, speed and practical skills. B, the opportunity for self-pacing. C, no opportunity for learners to respond immediately. 43, when a learner simply does not want to be in class, the educator will incorporate icebreakers and motivational tactics. 44, many barriers to education may be created by the behaviors and attitudes of the B educators. 45, learners are placed in an active learning mode by C, varying the teaching stimuli. 46, a conducive environment for learning would include questions are encouraged. 47, by encouraging interpersonal relationships among learners, the master educator expand their D network. 48, to support the content of class and show learners how information will work for them, B, use examples and illustration. 49, the master educator will take personal steps to become knowledgeable about learning disabilities or disorders and come to the realization that a learner behavior or performance may not meet the standards we have established for other learners. 50, when working with a dyslexic learner, the master educator may find D, all the above, and that is A, there is inadequate storage of knowledge. B, poor memory skills. C, there may be inadequate vocabulary. So we have completed chapter 2 in volume 2, Achieving Learner Results. Until next time, see you in chapter 3.